Boom. Good afternoon, Australia and Asia. Good morning if you are joining us from Europe. Today there will be myself, Marius, and Harvey who are going to present and share the latest news about Cubewise software. But this is an Ask Me Anything. So please, we are here to, let's keep this session as interactive as possible. I'm here to answer any questions you might have regarding any of our products. We have also other team members on the call who is going to monitor the chat. So yeah, please, if you have any questions, post it on the chat. We are more than happy to answer them live as we go. All right, let's start. So the plan for this session is, first of all, I'm going to share some news about Cubewise software. Then Marius is going to talk about TM1py and Atmosphere. Then I'm going to show the new features that are coming in Pulse version 7.1. And then Harvey is going to show us the latest feature in Arkansas version 5.1 that was released last week. So what to expect until the end of the year. So in August, we just launched the new support portal that we are using now. So Harvey, if you can share the link on the chat. So if you don't know where it is, one way to find it is to just go to our website. If you go to the code or the code website or the Cubewise website, you can find the support here. So if you click on support, it will take you through the support portal. So the nice thing about it is that now in the same, you just have one URL to remember to create a ticket for any of our products. And yeah, there are lots of nice features that we have now with this new support portal. We can share the tickets among your team. This is something that we are missing in the previous portal. So this is the new URL to reach out to us. And by the way, I just want to mention that the forum is still there, forum.cubewise.com, and this is where you can ask questions to the community directly. So the support is really more to create tickets, and the forum is really more to contribute. If you have any questions that you might have on any of our products or even TM1, you can just log in and post your question there. So this month, September, we just launched Arkansas version 5.1 last week. We're going to show you the latest features. Then we're doing the Ask Me Anything today. We are hoping to release Pulse version 7.1 this week, later this week, or the week after at the latest. And then there is Bedrock 5. So I'm going to talk about Bedrock 5 just after this slide. And in October, we are planning a new release of Power Connect. We are working on some optimizations, mainly regarding selecting views and cubes to make these steps faster. And then the new big release will be in November and December, probably end of November / early December for Arkansas and Pulse. And then there will be another Ask Me Anything. So Bedrock 5. So our US office took the lead to create Bedrock processes for TM1 v12. So as you probably know, when you will go to TM1 v12, so currently it's only available on Planalytics SaaS, but soon it will be available locally. So once you go to TM1 v12, there are lots of functions that are not supported anymore. So a lot of work has been done to check all the Bedrock 4 processes. So the current version of Bedrock is Bedrock 4, to review and check all the functions that are not supported in Bedrock 5. So if you go to GitHub, the Bedrock repository that you probably already familiar with to download Bedrock is the Bedrock version 4. That's Bedrock version 4, where you can download So this is Bedrock 4, the one that you're used to, the one that is officially released. And in here, as you probably know, if you want to download Bedrock, you can go here and you can find the .profiles here that you can just download, add them to your TM1 data folder, restart the TM1 instance, and you get Bedrock. So what is new with Bedrock 5 and in TM1 v12? Because in TM1 version 12, you don't have .profiles anymore. So we decided to create the same format, to use the same format as the REST API is using, which is JSON. So all the Bedrock processes that you will find in Bedrock 5, they are not .profiles anymore, they're .json. So there are some instructions to show you how you can install these processes in your TM1 environments. So what we have done, if you have Arc, and actually even if you don't have Arc, you can install Arc, and this feature is actually free. It's available for free with Arc. We have a feature in Arc to install Bedrock. So what this feature does is if your TM1 instance is TM1 version 11, so Arc is going to find the TM1 versions, and then it's going to give you the option only to install Bedrock 5, because the Bedrock 5, it's going to give you only the option to install Bedrock version 4. Bedrock version 4 is the latest release for version 11. So if you have access to a TM1 instance, which is TM1 v12, and if you open the Bedrock feature on v12, so this is a TM1 instance hosted on PSAS, which is TM1 v12, and in this example here, because it's TM1 v12, I can only install Bedrock 5. So if you just have Bedrock, if you have Arc, you can easily install the Bedrock by clicking this button. So in this example, it's already installed, and then you can, if it's not installed, you can click the install button. It will install all the processes for you. So as you can see here, Bedrock 5 is not officially launched yet, so the feature is ready in Arc to install it, but just be aware it's not officially launched. The launch date is the 30th of September. So the US team is still making some changes to Bedrock, and once the official release will be available, then you will see the notification in Arc. But if you want to learn more about Bedrock 5, I highly recommend you to join the Bedrock 5 webinar, which will be in the 30th of September. So yeah, Harvey, if you can post the URL for the webinar that the US team is hosting. So it will be in the US time zone, but yeah, you can always watch the recording. So I highly encourage you to register. So maybe, yeah, I will show you, I will showcase another feature that was, so this improvement of install Bedrock has been launched with version 5.1. I just want to show another feature that is very helpful, that we launched in version 5.1, which is the compare feature. So with the compare feature, what you can do side-by-side comparison of the same process. Like for example, I'm going to open a Bedrock process, the unwind. So it's already saved, and on the left side, I'm going to have the unwind process from Bedrock 5, which is on TM1 12, and on the right, I'm going to have Bedrock 4. So then I'm going to click compare, and here I can compare the code side by side, and if I scroll down, I will be able to see the changes that were done. So you can easily compare if you want Bedrock 4 with Bedrock 5. With the compare feature. All right, so I think that's all for the update. Marius, do you want to take over and share with us the latest on TM1py and Atmosphere?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
I have a few updates to share for TM1py and Atmosphere. So for anyone who doesn't know TM1py, TM1py is the Python package for TM1. It is free, so you can download it now on GitHub. It is also open source, so it's developed on GitHub. It's managed by Cubewise, but it's built with the community. It's myself, I've been contributing a lot over the years, but from the TM1 community, we've had like 50 or more contributors, many of them Cubewise, and also many outside of Cubewise. Project turned 9 years old this year, so it's been around for a while. It's gotten pretty mature. Works with TM1.11 and V12, and we consider it a complementary toolkit. So it's not really core to TM1 as like rules, TIs, obviously multidimensionality and cubes. It's more like complementary in the sense that if you want to do something meaningful with Watson X orchestrate, or if you want to do time series forecasting, or if you want to do data integration with an API, TM1py is your friend and makes your life easier. So that's the background. The project itself, when it started, it was a bit like a benevolent dictatorship where I just made decisions how it goes. And a few years ago, we've turned that over into more like like governance by council. So we've got we used to have like 8 members in the council, stakeholders from some of the largest TM1py user bases. And 2 weeks ago, we've added more members to the council. Florian from Germany, Ivan from Australia, and Nico from Argentina. They've all been working with the tool for a long time, contributing for years, and now now they're officially members of the TM1py Project Council. And if you follow the project on GitHub, you may already have noticed that there's been like a spike in recent contributions and activity. And so I'm expecting really positive impact from all 3 of them. And one more thing, for anyone on the call who's been using TM1py, maybe who wants to get more involved, we probably do another like reshuffle next year. So if you are a stakeholder, if you rely on TM1py, if you want to get more involved, please reach out. Like we want to build this with the community. More TM1py stuff. So we're really happy and proud. TM1py has been, I guess, nominated or recognized as a finalist in an IBM award, the Tech Exchange Excellence in Open Source Award. So we were one of the top 3 candidates. That's amazing. We're very happy. Also new, we're doing a hands-on TM1py workshop this week in Singapore. So what that means is we prepare virtual environments of TM1, of TM1py, of Arc. So you can just come and bring your notebook, and we just spent 2-3 hours working on TM1py and building things with TM1py. So this is on Friday this week. If you're based out of Southeast Asia, highly recommend to join. I'll be there. I think there'll be drinks too afterwards. So a good opportunity to talk about TM1 and Python and with us. On the TM1py development side, we've made obviously we do enhancements all the time, but there's been one issue that's been around for a long time. It's been hard to track down. It's been somewhat like undeterministic when it occurs. Only ever occurred on planning analytics on cloud. So we called it the remote disconnect error. You may have come across this if you're using Rush TI in IBM Cloud. So it tends to happen if there's a lot of like parallel processing or multi-threading happening on planning analytics on cloud, and this is resolved. So we finally found a good mitigation that we can do in TM1py, and so this is done thanks to Nico, who did this. And if you want the fix now, you can get it from GitHub. But we will do a proper TM1py release imminently. Also, if you're based in the US, you might want to consider joining a tech exchange. It's the biggest developer-focused event that IBM is doing. We'll be there. The TM1py World Championship will be there, and TM1py will be there as well. We have a presentation with one of our customers, DoorDash, who are presenting a really interesting use case that they did with TM1py. Maybe Harvey or Vincent, maybe you could share the link to a piece of TM1py workshop for Friday. Yeah, so my role in Cubewise is not just to look after TM1py, but also Atmosphere. So with Atmosphere, we did the global launch early this year. Think of Atmosphere as TM1py as a service, like all the good things that you can do with TM1py, like integrating with other tools. We did that, and we've done that many times, and we're really good at that. And so we decided for anyone who doesn't want to code but just wants a connector, we decided to offer Atmosphere. It's been it's been available globally since this year. We've got 20 or more connectors at this point. It's really convenient because it's a service, so it's plug and play, no local installation, and it's ideal for Cloud TM1. We've been doing that for a while. I think I presented here like 3 months ago some of the new connectors, and in the meantime, we've added 3 more connectors. We've got a connector now for Pronto ERP, Oracle NetSuite, and Workiva. We've also done some updates to the UI. The UI has gotten a lot simpler. We've gotten rid of some mappings that are no longer necessary. We've simplified the connections UI. It's gotten a lot cleaner and easier. We've also a lot of more sophisticated Arc environments. They use the server groups to group TM1 instances into environments, and now Atmosphere can be part of that server group mapping. That's really convenient. And I think the last thing I'd like to share is how the NetSuite connector works. Like all the connectors in Atmosphere are really similar. So you call them from a TI process, and you just pass the arguments, and then Atmosphere is like as a service doing the hard work and bringing your data into TM1. So here's like a 20-second example. At the top, we see Oracle NetSuite. We see a trial balance report here. And at the bottom, we see our GL cube. And then in the video, I'm going to run the Atmosphere process. I'm going to pass the arguments, like what's the query, which columns are dimensions, which columns are measures, and then Atmosphere is going to do all the work. So let me kick this off. Here we're looking at a number that's 31,000 in NetSuite. The cube's empty. This is the Atmosphere run process that comes with Atmosphere. Here we're providing all the arguments like the query, the cube, what is a dimension, what's a measure. You can provide a timeout if you want. And then within 10 or 15 seconds, Atmosphere should complete. And now in the cube, we have the same numbers as in NetSuite. And the fact that it's a TI process makes it really convenient, right? So you can put it on a chore, you can put it on a button in a web sheet or something. And they're all the same. Like maybe if you bring me on next time, maybe I could show a different connector, depending on what people want to see. But it's the same framework. You've got a TI that you run, and it gets your data. I think that's all from me. Are there any questions?
Nothing on the chat. Yeah, so I will take the screen back, but Marius is still there. So if you have any question that comes to your mind, yeah, feel free to post it on the chat. All right, so let me show you. I want to highlight 2 features that are coming in Pulse version 7.1. So again, well, it's not released yet. Hopefully by the end of this week or next week, it will be out. So what's coming in this release is a new button to cancel all sessions by session ID. So I will going to show it to you now. So why we build this feature is because a lot of you, I'm sure, are running processes in parallel. And I'm just going to launch some processes in parallel using a Rush TI. And you will see now, this is the live monitor screen of Pulse. And soon, yes, so you can see there will be few processes running in parallel. So you can see this user one just started 8 processes in parallel. And you can see all of these threads, so they all have different threads ID. All of these threads have the same session, the same session ID. So what you can do now with Pulse is if there is something wrong with these processes, what you can do, instead of canceling them one by one, you can just cancel all of them in one go. Yeah, actually, I was a bit too slow and my processes handled at the same time. I just do it again. I'm just going to run the process again. And so this was requested by a few customers because, yeah, it is quite often, like in here, you just have 8 processes, but you might have more, 20, 30 at the same time. So instead of canceling them in here, you can cancel them one by one, or if you want, you can just cancel all of them at the same time. So what Pulse is doing is going through all the threads with the same session ID, as I've shown you, and then it's going to cancel all the threads with one button. So that will make your life easier. Yeah, if there's something wrong going with this, all of these processes, you can quickly cancel one, and it will cancel all the threads with the same session ID as the thread you clicked on. So that's one feature. The other feature is about enhanced monitoring Excel. So maybe first I will just mention the other 2 features that are there is a new alert in Pulse to check for invalid credentials. So Pulse, what Pulse does to monitor your TM1 instances, it connects to TM1 to ask TM1 about the sessions and the threads. And to connect to TM1, it needs TM1 credentials. If the TM1 credentials expire, if the password changes, for example, then Pulse won't be able to connect. So we created a new alert that you can set up to make sure that as soon as Pulse can connect, you will get an email alert. So this is a new alert. And then the OAuth support for SMTP emails. So as you probably know, Microsoft is removing the basic authentication to send email with Microsoft SMTP server. So what you can do now with Pulse is you can connect to Microsoft using OAuth. So let's move to the main feature I want to highlight today is the enhanced monitoring Excel. So why this is important is, so why monitoring Excel usage is important is, first of all, unfortunately, the performance of your TM1 application does not rely only on TM1 developers. You can be the best TM1 developer. You can do as much test as you want. Once you go to production, your users are going to use either Parfait, Slice, or Perspective. They're going to build Excel spreadsheets on production. And it's difficult, and you can't control the users. They can do things that they should not do, like creating lots of DBRs, creating massive spreadsheets. And unfortunately, what we have seen is with Parfait or Slice, some massive workbooks can slow down everyone. So you need to be able to monitor Excel to quickly find these users and these workbooks that are locking everyone. So as I said, what I said before, so one Excel spreadsheet can slow down or lock everyone. That's just, to be fair, this is happening more with the oldest version of TM1. In the latest release, this has been improved, so it happens less often. But yeah, if you're on one of the oldest 2.09 Planetix version, it can happen. So one very big Excel spreadsheet can slow down everyone. And then, yeah, power users are building Excel reports in productions. And it is challenging right now to know or to track all the Excel workbooks that your users are building in production. And what we've seen is sometimes, well, quite often, a quick cleanup, like just replacing DBR with DBRW, have a huge impact, a huge performance impact on the spreadsheet itself, but also overall on your application, because at least you will be able to fix this spreadsheet that will stop slowing down everyone. So what we have added in Pulse is as some of you probably know, so this is Pulse, and as you can see here, when you are using Slice or Parfait, so Slice or Parfait are doing the same thing, is that here in the context, Slice and Parfait, they are sharing the product, then the Excel versions, then the spreadsheet name, and then the sheet name. So let's go to a spreadsheet now, and I'm going to just rebuild it. Let's see if I'm still logged in. Just going to refresh. All right, I'm just going to log in. Yes, and I'm going to rebuild the book. So this book is a bit slow, so I'm just rebuild the whole book. And as you can see, actually, live, what you can see live, actually, you can see where the workbook is. And you can see what is interesting here. You can see the spreadsheet here, the spreadsheet name. So that's the same, doesn't change. But here you can see the sheet as well. So it's also a good way for you when you do live monitoring to see where Excel is, at which step. So right now it's going through the drill through, then formulas, and then it will finish soon. So you can see, yeah, that's done. So you can see that's all the tabs here. So Excel went through each tab and refreshed all the TM1 formulas one by one. So you can see this information here live. But what is even better is that Pulse is storing already this information in its database. So what we have added in this release is that now we are splitting this string to make it easier for you to do some reports, to find the worksheet name, for example, because in the current release of Pulse was storing this string as just one string. So what's going to happen in Pulse version 7.1 is that we are splitting this in multiple fields that you can use to build some reports. So on my laptop, I don't have a lot of data, so I'm going to show you an example of what you will be able to achieve with Pulse. So maybe I'll show it to you first in Pulse. So in Pulse, I hope you know, or if you're new to Pulse, you might not know, but in Pulse you have the Explorer here. So if you click on the Explorer button, in the Explorer, you get everything that happens second by second. So it's very detailed information that you can use to troubleshoot what happens. So what you can do now once you upgrade to version 7.1 is you will be able to see in the server state. So there are lots of information here, and if you go down, you will be able to quickly find the workbook name and the worksheet name. So you can find the context here. You can find the context. You can always increase by default. It's always last 15 minutes. And you can see like second by second, you see everything that is happening. And then, yeah, you have lots of information that you can add in here. So what is new? Because we have now these new columns to see the workbook name, you will be able to build dashboard like this, like you will be able to see. So this is an example, as you can see probably at the top here. This is a customer who is using Parfait. So Parfait and Slice are sending the same information to TM1, and then Pulse is capturing this information. So you can see the filter here, context search is Parfait. So the dashboard that they built is first on the top left, they see the top 10 users. Then on the right, they see the top 10 most used reports. So because you can see the name of the reports, you can see the one that are the most used, the one that are open, doing just a unique count. And then on the left side, you can see the worst performers reports, the one that are taking most of time to refresh. And on the right, you can see, because the workbook is associated to a session, you can see which workbook is blocking others. So that's the type of workbook that you will be able to easily build, because we have now these new fields in the Pulse Explorer. So just to, I guess, this is what I've shown. So this is an example of Parfait. So if you are using Parfait, you will see this information, Parfait versions, the Excel workbook, the Excel version, and then the workbook name. So you see this information. in Pulse. And actually, yeah, what the customer has done, they also have, because you can see the version, they also added a chart to see all the different versions of Parfait to make sure that everyone has been upgrading to the latest version. Because you can see now they're using 2, 3, 5 different versions of Parfait among the same users. So it's also a very easy way to quickly see if everyone has been upgrading to the latest version. All right. So yes, if you're using the Pulse Excel logger or Slice, the Pulse Excel logger and Slice are sending more information to Pulse. So this information here is sent to TM1 by default, so you don't need to do anything. It is sent by TM1, and then Pulse is capturing this information. So then if you have the Excel logger enabled or Slice, once it is enabled, like for example, if you go to Slice, you need to enable it. So you need to go to, this is Slice, the Excel add-in. If you go to Settings, in here, you need to go to Pulse, and in here, you can enable the Pulse logging. So once you enable this Pulse logging, you need the Pulse URL. Then each time you save a workbook or you close a workbook, or each time you open a workbook, save or close, the Slice or the Excel logger are going to send some stats, some extra stats to Pulse, like the number of functions, number of sheets. This extra information is sent only by the Pulse Excel logger or Slice. But even if you don't have it, you can get some pretty good insight by just capturing and doing reports on this information that Parfait and Slice are sending. So yeah, I think that's all for Pulse. Yeah, so what about Workspace? So unfortunately, Workspace does not send any more information than just Workspace here in the context. So that would be good if some of you could request, because this has to be done by the software that is connecting to TM1. So for example, IBM implemented this, so we did not do it. So this is IBM who implemented inside Parfait to send this extra information in each TM1 session. So right now, for Workspace, you just see Workspace. You don't see any information. So we need to request to IBM to please add, for example, what they could do is the, or they call it the book name in Workspace. They could do something like this. So each time someone open a book, instead of just sending Workspace, they could send Workspace like book name, and we could capture this information. So you will be able to sit in the sessions, and we could capture this book name. But right now, we don't have this information. Workspace is only sending us just the word Workspace. Cool. All right. So do you have any other questions? No, everything has been answered, Harvey or Paul?
Well, there was a question about whether or not you can use POR to automate dashboards, convert to PDF, and send to users through email. I'm not actually sure about the answer to that. I know it didn't used to do that, but I don't know if I've looked at the feature list recently enough to answer that.
Yeah, not sure. I know there's probably there are a few consultants here online. So if you know the answer, please post it on the chat. All right, I think that's all for Pulse. We can move to Arc and Slice. Harvey, happy to take over the screen.
All right, let me share. This takes a second, bear with me. Also, if you happen to hear any construction noise in the background and you think I'm being attacked by a chainsaw or something, just ignore it. I don't know why. They've been working for like a week upstairs. Very frustrating. All right, let's have a look at the latest features of Arc. Just refresh the browser. All right, so you probably already noticed one feature when you were looking at Vincent's screen shares, which is this news ticker up here. So this is a new release with 5.1. And basically, it's just a bunch of news items that we can release inside of Arc so that we can keep people notified of changes and events such as this one, which is actually, well, that's the US one, but which is actually in there now. So we'll be updating that regularly with news items. We're also aware that there might be people who don't want to be distracted with that, and we understand. So I'll show you how to remove it if you need to. Just go into your user preferences. There's a new section down here for newsfeed. And you can hide the news ticker. So if you do that, it just disappears. And if you would like to, you can actually subscribe to specific news feeds. So there may be new ones that appear over time. You can just uncheck those. So if I uncheck both, you'll find when I refresh, the news ticker disappears as well. But we do recommend that you stay subscribed to the basic ones that come from Arc, because there might be some important stuff in there. You might also be wondering what happens with the new release notification, because it's taking up the same space that used to. If there's a new release, the ticker disappears and the new release will show just as it did before. And as soon as you've upgraded, you'll get the news ticker back again. But we figured that the new release notification is probably more important. Now, if we go into any of the servers, administration, we can go into the newsfeed section here. And this is just a little bit more of a comprehensive view of the newsfeed. So it gives you a summary over here. If you click the link on any of the news items, it'll take you to the link in a separate browser tab. So if you do disable the ticker, you can always get your news in there if you want to, and just look at it when you feel like it. So any questions about the news ticker? I can't see the nothing in the chat.
I monitor the chat. Well, can you add your own news?
Well, it's a good question, and you could. It's not documented yet. So if anyone actually feels like they would like to add their own news tickers in, or their own news feed into the ticker, it is technically possible. And I don't know, you could probably just put a post on the forum or something, and we'll start. But if there's any interest in doing it.
Javi, you can open the README now in the news feed. You can show the news feed folder.
Yeah.
If you, maybe, yeah.
You're talking about this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually have Arc host a newsfeed file for you if you want. You've just put it in the custom feeds folder, which should get created when you update Arc. And you just need to follow the format for it. So it does have a very brief description in there, but if you struggle with it, feel free to post on the forums or whatever. We're not really expecting that will be a thing, but you never know with any features. So it's possible.
Yeah, for example, if you have if you release a new cube or a new Excel workbook, a new report, that was the idea, where you can add your news, that there is a new feature in your application, and then everyone will see it in the top banner.
We also thought maybe we'll start utilizing that for Cubewise cloud customers as well, to communicate on upgrades or changes. We'll see. There's no plans for that yet, but it's potentially possible. So yeah, that's the news ticker. Just a little update, but kind of an interesting one. We'll see how it goes, and let me know how you find it. If you find it annoying, maybe we can change the animation or something, add more features. Okay, so we've got another fairly minor improvement, but I think a significant one in the Cube Viewer. So if we go in and just fire up a cube view, you'll notice now if you right-click on the rows or columns, the context menu is a lot cleaner now. And this is the default, by default, what you'll see if you upgrade to Arc 5.1. So instead of having keep in the big list, and we actually got it to the point where the list was exceeding the size of the screen, which is why we figured it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. You'll see all your options in here. So your element selection, your swap hierarchy options, display alias, and all of this stuff, right? So it's all the same options. They're just reorganized into groups. And because we know users use different features more frequently, we've actually made it customizable as well. So in this context menu groups options under here is how you can customize some of the grouping. You can just turn it all off if you want. So if you don't like having keep and keep children and all of that stuff inside a group, you can just disable this and it'll just load as it did before. I think the order is slightly different if you uncheck everything, but it's basically the same menu that you would have known before. And you can do that with swap hierarchy, etc. as well. But you'll find that because we've got some new options in there, it'll get pretty big pretty fast. So we've tried to be very targeted in what we group. So you'll notice there's create group, or items that say create group, and then there's items that just say group. What that means is you can create the group itself, right? So if we do this, this will group the subset options. So you've got subset selection, and they're the three options that get grouped. But where it says group for an individual item, subset editor, that's for an item that is optional whether it's grouped or not in the one above it, right? So if you want the subset editor inside that group, then it appears in there as well. So if you play around with it a bit, you'll get used to it, hopefully. But yeah, that's how you customize that if you don't like what the default options look like. And if you are very eagle-eyed, you would notice there's actually a new option in here that is has not been available before. So we've always had swap hierarchy, which just takes whatever hierarchy you've clicked on, swap it with one of the ones in the context. Keep and swap is a new feature. It's somewhat sort of in the vicinity of a cross drill, I guess, or a similar sort of analysis tool. So what it does is if we're on the account dimension, which we are, and we go keep and swap, and let's just swap with, say, period, what it'll do is it'll swap the hierarchies around, but it'll also select in the titles the one that's selected here. So if we do, say, total cost of sales, and we want to know how that spreads across the periods, we just go in here, keep and swap period. And you'll see now total cost of sales is up here in account, and it's selected what was selected with one level expanded down here. I think that's right, what it does. And then you get a completely new view. So that can be pretty handy if you want to do some analysis on your data quickly, because it does two steps in one. You can always undo any changes that you make to the view. So that's one way to get back to where you were if you need to. And if you want to do keep and swap with something else, you just go in, say department or whatever. And again, it does the same thing as before, but with the department dimension. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much use this gets, and if there's any questions about it, or if you have any enhancement requests when you do see it and play around with it and think it should be tweaked, let us know, and we'll address them as we go. Were there any questions about that one? I see one notification, but no.
Yeah, Javi, I can
Yes.
use, yeah, maybe you can go to the user settings just to show everyone the way to enable or disable the autosave for processes in the user settings.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Autosave.
Yeah. So that was requested by a couple of customers, being able to save automatically your process. So I think by default it's off. So you can select here. Yeah, you can select here and select the interval. So for example, if you want Arc to save by every 5 seconds your process, or every 30 seconds by default, you can do it. So Arc will save your process, so you don't have to do it. But if you don't like it, you can just untick this option and Arc will not save anymore.
Just keep in mind it saves your process no matter what, even if there's errors. So it bypasses the error checking. So yeah, just be a bit careful with it and probably don't make it too frequent because it'll just be saving all the time. It'll go crazy. But yeah, that's that feature. All right, so that's keep and swap. No one's thought of any questions yet?
No.
Okay, cool. And we've got one other thing to cover. This is a pretty, well, I think it's a pretty big feature actually. But so if we go into, say, in the rule editor for employee, you can see in here I've come in and meddled around with this. So Harvey's changed this, Dougie's changed this. They're both me. I'm just playing a role. And I'm starting to lose track of who I actually am when I test this stuff. So, but yeah, I've just gone in and done some changes so that we can keep track of what the blame report's actually doing. So if I go into go-to now, I get compare. And Vincent showed this before, but let me just show you in the context of this particular rule. So I can always come in here and say, okay, well, I want to compare whatever dates I need. And I can get it to highlight what's changed. So here's the one Dougie changed, here's the one Harvey changed, and so on. You can see that that this is the one that was removed, or was previously not existing. If you scroll down, you can see this, but it's very targeted. You have to actually select the particular commit that you want to investigate. So if you're not certain who did what at what time, like let's say we want to do my change and then Dougie's change, you have to look at that and then see, okay, Dougie added this line and then whatever. But it's not very fast to find out whose fault it is. And that's what you really want to know. Who put this back? I just commented it out. And then if this comment wasn't here, and let's pretend it's not, that's just so that we know that it was part of the change, then I would be in a very vicious conflict with another developer where I'm commenting things out and they're putting it back. So if you want to know in one big report who made what changes when, you go to the blame report. And it's a little bit similar to the compare, but it does all the comparisons at once in one big go.
And by the way, you need to be connected to Pulse for this feature to work.
This is a Pulse feature. That's right.
So you can see the blue circle on the left in the instance name. It shows that Harvey is connected to Pulse.
So it just adds this panel here. It shows you the rule as normal, but it adds a panel here saying who did what change on each line. So you can see here, I commented this out 2 hours ago, and then Dougie came in and he put it back again. Also 2 hours ago, it was probably not quite 2 hours. I'm sure his was after mine. And also down here, you can see similar thing, similar pattern. So I've got to go and have a fight with Dougie now and let him know not to put my rules back when I comment them out. But yeah, so you can highlight by user, which is pretty useful, or you can highlight by commit. So if you're familiar with Git, every commit has an ID. And if you color by the ID, you can just see if the same user committed twice on the same ID, like 2 lines, then they'll have the same color. But I think it's probably most useful to do it by user in general, because blame is not about commits, it's about finding a person to blame. So yeah, I've always thought that the name of this report is a little harsh. Please don't go around blaming people and pointing fingers and getting angry. That's not what it's for, but it is interesting sometimes to find out who made what code change and why, and then you can sort out maybe errors in the process or whatever. So yeah, that's the blame report.
Maybe just to add, like, yeah, the blame report is a standard in the industry of software. So if you Google online,
Yes.
So we just kept the same name. We did not call it this way. If you Google blame report, you will find other examples of of what it
We
is.
didn't name it. Yeah.
Yeah, we did not name a blame someone.
It's also worth mentioning.
Just
you can get to both compare and blame under the pulse node in the menu as well. So you can use all the go-tos to get there. You can get to compare from blame. You can get to blame from compare. You can get to the rule editor from compare. You can get to the rule editor from blame. Anyway, all the combinations are there. You get the idea. But yeah, if you need to get back to the rule, you can always use that one, or you can use the server tree to do everything as well if you prefer that. So yeah, pretty powerful feature. Arc Plus, so you definitely need Pulse connected to do it. It uses all the Pulse data that gets collected in the change tracking. But yeah, pretty powerful. So I would say a pretty compelling reason to consider Arc Plus if you haven't already, or if you haven't got it already. All right, I'll throw back to you, Vincent. That's all I wanted to show on the Arc stuff.
Yeah, just checking my notes. I think we covered everything we wanted to share today. Yeah, there's still 9 minutes in this meeting. We're happy to stay here if you have a few questions. So yeah, so there is a question here, and I can take it, Harvey. There's a question regarding transaction logs. So that's a really good question. Thank you for posting it. So this is Arc. So if you go to Arc, well, first of all, to enable transaction logs, you need to make sure that logging is available for your cubes. Yeah, because this you see, that's I'm in TM1 v12, and in v12 there is no more logs, so I could not see it here. I was a bit confused. So I'm just going to log out from v12 and just going back to v11. TM1 admin. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so now I can see my logging. So first, for the transaction logs, if you're referring to, when the data is stored in TM1, you need to enable it. So in Arc, you can just select a few cubes, and you can enable the transaction logs from here. Once the transaction logs is enabled, what you can do is you have a tool called the transaction logs to view all the data that has been entered for a specific cube or specific users. So this has been released in version 5.0. Just be aware that using the transaction log might slow down your application. So just be very careful when you use it in production. We find that if you add more than 2 weeks, it starts to be very slow. So try to query maybe just a few days or 1 day to start with. Or but maximum 2 weeks. If the period is too big, then the request will be very slow, and that might impact your TM1 instance. So just be very careful when you use the transaction logs with the REST API. I hope that answers your question. Do you have any? Yeah, okay, good. So just check first if the logins are enabled first, and then TM1 is going to track any data changes, and then you can use the transaction log feature to query it. But again, be very careful when you use it, especially in production. All right, there is no more questions. We can just end the call now. So the recording will be available on YouTube probably tomorrow or Thursday. So if you want to share the recording, this will be available on our Cubewise YouTube channel. All right. Yes, that's it. Thanks everyone for attending this session. If we don't see you in person, the next time we see you will be in the next Ask Me Anything around November/December. So everyone, bye.